The well-known figures of the Protestant Reformation are often male figures like the Augustinian monk Martin Luther, lawyer and theologian John Calvin, or Presbyterian missionary John Knox. However, the Reformation was not only a movement led by men, as many women also played pivotal roles. Below are 7 remarkable women who had a lasting influence on the Reformation. 1. Marie Dentierre. Born in 1495 in a noble family in France, Marie Dentierre was a former abbess of the Augustinian order before joining the Protestant Reformation. Dentierre focused on convincing nuns to join the Reformation and wrote many works defending Reformed theology. She even earned the respect of John Calvin, who once asked her to write a preface for one of his sermons. In 2002, Marie Dentierre became the only woman to have her name engraved on the famous Reformation wall in Geneva. As a dream seagull of desiring God writes, there is no doubt that she lacked many virtues considered appropriate for women at the time, such as humility and modesty, but because of her passion for the Word of God, her works have stirred and changed hearts, not only in her own time, but in ours as well. 2. Argula von Grumbach. Argula von Grumbach was born into a Bavarian noble family in 1492. The same year, Christopher Columbus set sail to the New World. She is renowned for her strong defense of the Protestant Reformation. When the University of Ingolstadt arrested a Lutheran teacher, von Grumbach wrote a letter of protest and spread Reformation ideas widely. Martin Luther, who corresponded with von Grumbach and met her in 1530 near Augsburg, praised the Bavarian noblewoman's courage and strength. Luther wrote to a friend, "That noblewoman, Argula von Stoffer, is bravely fighting with a strong spirit, courage in her speech, and understanding of Jesus Christ. She needs all our prayers for the victory of Jesus Christ in her." 3. Margarite de Navarre. Margarite de Navarre, a French royal, was an educated writer and patron of the arts. She was in her 20s when the Reformation began. After reading the works of Martin Luther and John Calvin, she embraced the Reformation and advocated for a French translation of the Bible. Once she became queen of the small kingdom of Navarre, located between France and Spain, she turned it into a refuge for persecuted Protestants. Subishtursky of Focus on the Family writes, "Not only did she welcome writers, artists, scholars, and theologians to the court to discuss and exchange ideas, but she also provided shelter to John Calvin and other Reformation leaders from France and elsewhere." Marguerite was the first French noblewoman to compile and publish a collection of her works, and was the first female poet of the Reformation. Her introspective and profound writings reflect her journey toward Reformed faith and her personal relationship with Jesus Christ. 4. Queen Elizabeth I. Though born after the Reformation had begun, Queen Elizabeth I is credited with officially establishing Protestantism as the state religion of England, while also allowing a degree of tolerance for other Christian denominations. Elizabeth is noted for ending the religious persecution that had occurred under her sister, Queen Mary, known as Bloody Mary, and for her refusal to allow retribution or revenge for the persecution. The remarkable thing is that despite being imprisoned in the Tower of London and threatened with execution, she ended the religious persecution without allowing revenge, writes the Reformation Society. She steadfastly opposed any efforts to punish Christians, affirming that unless they violated the law, they still had the right to be protected equally under the law. 5. Katherina Schütz. Katherina Schütz is known for her religious writings and efforts to care for persecuted Protestants. Born in Strasbourg, now in France, she married a Protestant pastor in 1525. Considered one of the first formal Protestant marriages in European history. Zell defended the ideas of clerical marriage, commented on Psalms, and wrote public letters rejecting accusations that she was disturbing the peace. As Rebecca van Duwart from Table Talk magazine writes, though outstanding in managing her family and caring for refugees. She also defended her theological views through her printed works. Zell was a female theologian in the best sense. Historians today refer to her as an unofficial reformer, but she simply did what every Christian should do: use her talents to bring about gospel change in whatever way she could. 6. Katherina von Bora. Perhaps best known as the former nun who fled her convent and married Martin Luther, Katherina von Bora's support for the Reformation and her role in Luther's life are also noteworthy. Katie managed the family finances and helped Luther by giving him time to write, teach, and preach, explains Dan Graves of Christianity.com. Luther called her the morning star of Wittenberg because she rose at 4 a.m. to manage many responsibilities. She took care of the vegetable garden, orchard, fish pond, and farm animals, even slaughtering them herself. Katherina gave Luther 6 children and also adopted 4 others. If she hadn't been such a hard-working and virtuous woman, the Reformation might have encountered many obstacles, Graves adds. 7. Lady Jane Grey. A noblewoman from England, Lady Jane Grey is remembered most for her short and controversial reign as a teenager, which ended with her execution by Queen Mary. However, after her death, many in England regarded her as a martyr for the Protestant cause, as she had joined the Reformation a few years before her ascent to the throne. Mary delayed her execution for 3 days and sent the priest John Feckenham to try to persuade Jane to return to the Catholic faith. Jane recorded her conversation with Feckenham as a testimony of her faith in Jesus Christ and the Bible, notes Diana Severance from Credo magazine. Jane's letters and writings, written as she faced death in the Tower of London, were quickly printed and widely circulated. Jane is honored as a Protestant martyr. John Calvin acknowledged her as a lady with an example worth remembering. These women were integral to the Reformation, fighting for the spread of Reformed theology, protecting persecuted Protestants, and changing the course of church history. Their courage and commitment continue to inspire Christians today in the ongoing work of the Church.